So before we really get into the show, we need to address something, which is the fact that Tim has left the show. Frank, you had some stuff you wanted to say about it?
Yeah. It was earlier this week as we're recording this. Tim really suddenly quit the show for the second time without talking to us about it first, which is fine. He had his reasons, but what's bothering me is that he did this in a really unprofessional way. He insulted the popularity of the show, the quality of its guests, and our intelligence. He also said things that I would call verbally abusive toward one of us, which I'm just not okay with. And the whole thing was really disturbing to me, and I'm just not interested in working with this person or having him on the show again, even as a guest, if he wanted to be. And I kind of wanted to get ahead of that. We talked a couple episodes about how important it was for people like us in a space like this to be authentic, and as a way of sort of encouraging more good in the world, I guess. And I guess that's why I felt the need to talk about this. I want everyone hearing this to know that it's not okay to be treated like that. I've been in toxic, abusive situations like that in the past in my personal and professional lives. And it wasn't something that I really crawled out of until I talked to someone about it and they were able to validate that it was wrong and weird. And, I'm not really sure what else to say other than if you find yourself on the receiving end of something like that and you can, please talk to someone. I also want to ask that you respect our privacy and try not to dig for details. And honestly, there aren't any more details than what I said. It really was just that simple. But, we'd all like to just move on and continue doing the show.
Yeah, I want to reiterate both of those, that we're going to keep doing this show. It's going to keep happening. We're going to make some additional, hopefully interesting changes to the show and try to continue to make it something that you will like and hopefully you will like even more.
We are recording this while this is very fresh. And we did, just for transparency's sake, we talked before the show about whether we should wait until we figured out what we're doing instead. And we decided not to because we just, we want to kind of move on. But I just want to be real here that the conversations that we're starting to have are coming from a pretty energetic, creative place. I actually think that, we're not just going to continue on as Insert Credit minus Tim. Like we're going to build something really cool that I'm excited about. And I just want everyone to know that.
Yeah. So that's it. I wish him the best in his future endeavors, and we're going to keep carrying on. I hope you will keep carrying on with us, because we do gain a lot of energy from you all on the forums and on the Patreon, and just your reviews and every way that you interact with this show. Like the show has grown to where we have quite a lot of people listening to it. It's it's 80 to 100,000 people a month are listening to this show, and it's really nice. We're in a good place, and I feel like we can get into an even better place with y'all's help. So thanks.
I genuinely think that this isn't hot air. I just want to say that.
Okay, there. We did.
All right, let's go. Let's do the real show. This is going to be a fun one.
After Castlevania, I warned you not to return. This is episode 361 of Insert Credit, a podcast where a panel of video game experts meet terrifying topics under a horrible boozer. I'm Alex Jaffe, and my favorite horror movie is the Texas Chain Saw Massacre, the 1974 one.
That's a good one.
I'm Frank Cifaldi, and I'm really afraid of the horrible boozer coming after me. But I'm also, I don't know, sorry or delighted to say that my favorite horror movie is the original Texas Chain Saw Massacre.
Oh, hey!
So I guess we'll just have that in common.
Yeah, I'm like not a horror guy, but I watched that movie and it's like, this is a picture.
Yeah.
It's a well-made movie. And it's interesting in how nihilistic it is, because it's like everybody in that movie sucks. Like nobody's cool.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of a jerk. And it's very difficult to make a movie in which there's no one really to root for, but you don't want the bad things to happen, but it's still a good movie.
Yeah.
Because the 90s was all about there's nobody to root for. But it didn't translate to good movies at that time. Anyway, I'm Brandon Sheffield, and if you ask me my favorite horror movie, it's probably going to change every day of the week because I watch a whole lot of those, and I don't know what to. This is. I have option paralysis on this one, I'm afraid. So I'm just going to say, though I don't really qualify it as a horror movie, the thing that I would most like to watch right now is The Thing, directed by John Carpenter. And if you put a gun to my head any day of the week and said, who's your favorite director? I would say John Carpenter because I would watch almost any of his movies at any time, including right now.
Our most beloved Sonic the Hedgehog fan.
Yes.
I just watched the first Halloween for the first time. That was all right.
Pretty solid.
Good movie. I like that first Halloween. Also joining us is what I'm going to call insert credits official Warhammer 40K correspondent. Also, one of the writers of a brand new video game, Fledgling Manor, which you can check out on all the relevant video game platforms. We'll get into it. Merritt K is with us this week.
Hey, thanks for having me back. And thanks for the title, too. Really appreciate that. Love that that's become my thing on a lot of podcasts at this point, somehow. Because I played Warhammer 20 years ago, I was on the podcast Guys last year trying to explain Warhammer, and that was fun.
Oh, I love that episode.
And I watched, speaking of Carpenter, I watched The Mist for the first time. Or no, The Fog.
The Fog.
The Fog.
Yeah, The Fog.
Mist is...
That's a different one.
Different one. That's what I thought it was when I watched it. And then I was like, aren't there monsters in... Oh, no, it's the sins of small town America come back to haunt it. That's the real monster.
I mean, there's pirates.
There are ghost pirates. That movie was pretty great. Also a big Carpenter fan. And my favorite horror movie, again, there's so many choices, but I gotta say probably The Exorcist 3 is just up there as like one of the all-timers for me.
You know, I keep hearing about Exorcist 3 specifically, and I never have watched it.
So good. First Exorcist, obviously a classic, great movie. Second one apparently is just total trash. And then the third one is so brilliant, and I would say it's a better horror movie than the first one.
I want to add a little bit to the Halloween thing, the discussion, because the scariest part of that movie for me is that we watched this bonus feature that was on the Blu-ray about Jamie Lee Curtis making like this appearance at a horror con. It's the first time she did that, and it was like her sister filmed it and followed her around. And the scariest thing to me was the idea of being stuck on an airplane next to Jamie Lee Curtis.
Well, why?
She just doesn't stop talking. She just can. She's in and it's not. She's not. And it's a weird situation to be in because it's like she seems pretty smart. Yeah. She even seems pretty authentic, you know. And like the things that she's saying aren't annoying, but they just don't stop. Mm-hmm. There's just an energy to it that is socially terrifying to me, which might
perpetual
be
motion.
She's gonna talk your ear off about Ryu combos in Street
But she's gonna talk. She's gonna talk my ear off about like how good the flight attendants are doing and what a fantastic job they're doing and how clean the airplane is. She's just constantly like praising things.
You're gonna walk away with that with some trauma.
Okay.
We're not here to talk about scary movies. We're here to talk about scary video games. So I'm going to ask, what's the most you were ever scared by a video game?
Okay, I've got a few.
Mine's really quick, so you go first because you have more.
Okay. How does that make sense?
That's the rules here.
You might fill up the time and then I don't have to say anything.
No, I won't. I'll keep it briefish. There's three instances I can think of. I think the first one was there was a part of Resident Evil 2 that I was playing, and I was like, I don't want to go into that room because I can see that something's happening there, and I don't know exactly what it is. And I hear a sound, and I don't want to go into that room. So that was number one. Number two was I played the first Silent Hill, and I was like, oh, you can actually make a scary video game. You can make a video game that's just scary to me and will make me feel afraid of everything.
Talk about
everything
the fog.
That's all over. Yeah, everything all over in this game. And yet I was compelled. And that's unusual. I just kicked my camera.
Everyone who's not watching the live video feed, meaning everyone who's not currently in this recording, just missed a really scary moment where Brandon's webcam fell.
Yeah. A real life jump scare, right?
Yeah,
it was a very found footage kind of like just
Yeah.
For sure.
random drops.
Cloverfield got him.
Looking up at the ceiling.
And then I should have been making shrieking sounds and something's gnawing on my neck. Okay, so the second one is just Silent Hill.
Mhm.
And then the third one is, and I think I've admitted this before, and it's still very embarrassing. I haven't gotten more than like an hour and a half, maybe an hour into Silent Hill 2 because Silent Hill 2 was too scary for me.
Wow.
I beat Silent Hill 3. I don't know what it is. There's something about the pacing and the sound design and the camera work of Silent Hill 2. Eventually, I'm going to do it. And it's been many, many years, and I would probably be fine now. But it's been one of those things where maybe it's like whatever time of my life when I tried to do it. Every time I've tried 2-ish times, maybe 3, I don't know. And then at a certain point, I'm like, do I want to subject myself to this? I'm having actual anxiety about this video game. So those are my 3. That's what I got. Otherwise, stuff hasn't been that scary.
So I guess for games that are intentionally scary, I don't have a ton of experience with those, but Silent Hill 2 definitely top of my list. I think it does a really good job of. I think we all know this, that it's not a jump scare game. It's a
like, fear of the unknown game.
Right. It's an anxiety building game.
I don't like it when heads are shapes, Frank.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry about my egg-shaped head, Jack.
Finally, I've been waiting for an apology for 300 episodes.
But the actual most scared I've ever been, and I think you could plop a lot of games into this because a lot follow the same formula. Not an intentionally scary game, but the original Phantasy Star, the RPG by Sega, is for some parts of it a dungeon crawler. Where you are in very like identical looking dungeons that have like, maybe 4 different background sets to show them. That is a game where the random number generator can just kind of decide to kill you. Maybe not as bad as like a Wizardry or whatever, but for a console game, it's pretty hard. And the most scared I've ever been, I actually remember it was on the ice planet. It was like this underground cavern. I didn't have it mapped out yet because I was legitimately trying to play it the way you're supposed to, which is, not looking at a map, like actually drawing it out. And it's just like this feeling of like walking one like tile on the map at a time, not knowing if a mammoth is just going to jump out and like insta kill me. And I'm just so like my life is almost gone. I'm pretty sure that I'm close to a town right now that if I could just get out, I could heal. I think that's the most scared I've been, is just like the anticipation of knowing that something could jump out and get me. And I think the difference is that those were actual quantifiable consequences, which is that I hadn't saved in a while. And I'm more scared by that than
afraid of losing time.
I'm more afraid, I guess, of losing time and than I am of like a very like designed scary thing, because I in like a Silent Hill experience, I can tell myself that like if something scary happens, it's supposed to, and there's it's designed that way.
In a very real sense, the game is subtracting from your actual life. That is pretty scary.
Yeah.
I've never been like a big horror game person. So nothing off the top of my head in terms of like, a frightening game. I feel like the last horror game I played was Resident Evil 4, and that's even debatable because it's more of an action game. I never got into like the Amnesias, any of those things that because I only got into horror movies a few years ago. So maybe I'll get into horror games soon. But for me, it's things like that. It's like being a kid and playing Sonic the Hedgehog and having that music come on when Sonic turns to the ground. That is like, I don't know if that's fear or anxiety.
No, that counts.
But they're closely related, I think. And that theme song for years would just like freak the hell out of me. I had to play games with the sound turned off because the sound would always really scare me. And then other stuff, just like playing Phantasy Star Online and thinking that my save got corrupted. That was pretty frightening.
That's Phantasy Star, man. That's what it does.
Yeah, those games. Yuji Naka.
Most underrated horror franchise.
The master of horror. Yuji Naka. His most recent feat of terror, charging you $60 for, what was it called? Waka Laka's Wonderland? Or Balan Wonderworld.
Balan Wonderworld.
Balan Wonderworld, yeah.
Waka Laka's
Well, don't worry. He's not allowed to do that anymore from his
No, he is on house arrest. And yeah, so it's just stuff like that.
Mine is pretty similar to Frank's, where I think the most terror I felt from a video game was just from a place of pure existential dread. playing World of Warcraft for the first time. I played World of Warcraft in 2008 for 2 weeks at a time in my life where I could only play video games for about an hour a day. And I started as a dwarf in the starting area. And I eventually got to the point where I got on this like flying mount for the first time and saw how big the World of Warcraft was. And just like as I made that first flight, it just like this whole future washed over me. Like, if I want to do all this, I'm just going to be a World of Warcraft person for the rest of my life. And I was so terrified by the prospect of that I shut the game and never opened it again.
That was a real thing. People just became that guy. And as I'm thinking about it, there was a really close Venn diagram in my life at that time between people who became World of Warcraft people and people who were Burning Man people.
Yeah, there's definitely a connection there, I feel.
Between World of Warcraft and Burning Man?
Mm-hmm. Just like there's a connection between EverQuest and Ren Fair.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
Well, that one's thematic, though.
Yeah. But that actually brings up a good point, because if I want to feel... I was like looking at my Steam library to be like, have I played any like frightening games in the last few years? And like, not really. But then I scrolled down to Destiny 2 and looked at my playtime on that. And I have stopped. I haven't played Destiny in like over a year, but I do have about 2,400 hours in Destiny.
So that's a lot of those.
So that's pretty frightening to think of the time of my life that has been devoted to that game.
Yeah, seeing that clock.
Yeah.
All right, this next one is kind of more of a game design challenge, but if you can think of applicable cases where this is applied in the past, go ahead and share them. How do you scare someone in a text or turn-based video game where you aren't required to act immediately?
Oh, it's what I just said. Like being in that dungeon, I could just sit there infinitely listening to that hot soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I press either forward or backward, I could have a mammoth stomp on me.
You can also give people multiple bad choices. No fully positive, happy answers is one thing you can do.
I don't know if that's horror as much as stress.
It could be horror.
I don't know. Yeah. Have you read like a horror novel?
That's true.
Because they can. I've read books that can really give you like a feeling of illness in like the pit of your stomach. Where's the pit? Whenever I hear that, I think of like my solar plexus. But where is the pit really?
It's where the butterflies live, right?
I guess they live there.
I would guess lower.
Pit
right?
sounds lower.
It's in the butterfly pit.
Yeah, I think the pit is where the bowels are.
Yeah, so I guess I don't feel things in the pit. I feel a little higher.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, you can continue to disturb somebody. Okay, I was playing a text-based text-based adventure game with some visuals to it, but it was mostly like an interactive novel, I would say. I don't know why I said RPG. That was written by someone I know. This was probably part of it. But the things that were in it were disturbing enough to me, and like I actually know this person, that I was like, what's going on? And I had to make choices that were like related to, I don't know, some content warning type of stuff is what I'll say. Where I was like, I would rather not. I would rather just stop playing this than have this experience. So there you can upset people. And I think, I don't know if it's fear, but it is a similar feeling that you can get from some kinds of horror. Like I hate all those sort of torture porn movies. It's really not for me. I'm a little more of a creature feature or existential dread type of a horror person. But when like tearing someone's kneecap off for an hour, I don't want to watch that. But I get a similar kind of feeling when I'm reading stuff that is abhorrent, and I'm enticed to continue participating. If that makes sense.
It does.
I mean, this is very similar to what I just said, but turn-based boss battles, right?
Right.
I mean, it's literally the same thing, though. It's just abstracted differently, which is that I have these choices to make that could have very real consequences for me right now, and that I might have to do this again. And it's been like an hour since my last save. That is what scares me in a video game more than like body horror or whatever. And if you want to scare me, it's stuff like that. And it's probably why. No, it's not. I was going to say it's probably why I don't play strategy games, but I don't play strategy games because I don't like them.
I think as long as you can get someone invested in any medium and in any way, then you've got the opportunity to scare them or disturb them at the very least.
Nothing scares Frank Cifaldi more than wasting his time.
Yeah. From that perspective, I gotta ask: are Souls-like horror games?
I feel like they're a big waste of time. LOL.
Wow.
Just kidding. Just kidding. I don't think.
I mean, I would say that like, earlier ones, to some extent, kind of are. Like, there are moments in like Dark Souls 1 and 2, maybe even 3, maybe Bloodborne as well, where there are like jump scares, or there are those tense moments that Frank was talking about, where, you know, you're like, okay, I just need a bonfire. Just give me a bonfire. Yeah,
exactly. That's what I'm thinking about.
Like, that's all I need right now. And then some giant man grabs you and stuffs you into a bag, and you're like, oh, shit. Okay. So some of them, kind of.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
But I also think for like turn-based stuff, it's kind of played out at this point, but maybe it's going to come back around again, is like the kind of subverting the mechanics. If you've had like a turn-based game that is pretty straightforward for a lot of its runtime, and then you start doing kind of weird stuff with the interface, or stuff like just having messages about like, you know, oh, the boss just isn't reacting to your, like just stuff like Earthbound, you know, like the ending of Earthbound is extremely scary and fucked up for a lot of reasons.
The Dragon Lord messing with you in Dragon Quest 1.
Sure, yeah, things like that.
Yeah, like if things that you've relied on that have always been there for like hours and hours in this game are just suddenly like changed or not there.
Hit him with the Sans Underpad
without explanation. That's pretty scary because it's I mean another thing that used to, it doesn't scare me anymore, but I used to feel a pretty intense sense of dread if I like fell through the world in a 3D game.
Oh yeah.
That was scary for a time. It's just funny now.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
It's just an expected funny thing, but yeah.
That's time.
I just wanted to say about the Souls-likes. The reason that I don't consider them to be horror games is when your focus as a player is more on mechanics than on vibes and environment, though there is, you know, increasing vibes as the series goes along, the main series, but most of those games are pretty mechanics focused, I would say. That pulls your brain into that zone rather than into the horror zone, which is why I was able to beat Silent Hill 3 and not 2. So it just makes it less scary if you're focused on like, oh, I know I can defeat these enemies if I try hard enough.
All right. My next question. What are the best uses of ghosts in video games? What are your favorite video game ghosts?
I like when you could bounce off them.
Yeah, like do a spin jump.
I know what comes to mind immediately for me and everyone else is the Addams Family on the NES.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Is this Fester's Quest or a different episode?
No. The Addams Family.
No,
okay.
By Ocean.
Yeah.
Ocean, not Sunsoft.
Sorry.
The superior Ocean, not the inferior Sunsoft.
Superior.
Right.
Yeah, you could bounce off those ghosts and to get to the skeleton and get the key. I'm speaking to the choir here, but you know, bouncing off the ghosts is a really good way of using them.
Uncharacteristically, I do like those boos in the Marios.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that like hide their eyes and
the ones that hide their eyes and if your back is to them, they come after you, and if you're facing them, then they don't. It's a very simple but very neat mechanic, and I puts them near the top of the list.
People do really cool stuff with them in like Mario Maker and Kaizo mods.
The Hungry Ghosts video game has some neat ghosts in it because
you mean Pac-Man?
Yeah, that's right.
But they don't eat. The ghosts don't eat.
Hungry Ghosts.
Why do you think the ghosts are chasing Pac-Man?
Oh, I see. They don't eat like Pac pellets. They eat Pac-Men.
Yes, they feast on Pac-Man. It's eat or be eaten.
Okay. I thought they were just mad at him.
Could be that.
So what? He dies of embarrassment when they touch him?
No, they kill him because they're mad at him.
They frighten him to death.
Or that, yeah.
But just gets super haunted.
They frighten him to death by stabbing him and ripping his guts out.
we see him like shrink in a circle. It's like they're taking slices out of a pizza. They're eating Pac-Man.
Psychologically.
Okay.
Yeah, he sort of implodes on himself. So what were we talking about?
Oh,
Killing Pac-Man. How would you
yeah.
kill Pac-Man if you had to
Okay,
kill
we're gonna
Pac-Man?
need a ringer. We're gonna need someone to bring in someone powerful. We're gonna need like a Billy Mitchell kind of. Could we get Billy Mitchell to help us?
yeah, get Billy Mitchell on the line. He's not doing anything.
Well, if we kill Billy Mitchell, he becomes a ghost.
Well, you have to be really careful about what you say about Billy Mitchell on a recorded medium.
Yeah.
He's going to find it.
It is slander to say that I would become a ghost.
Yeah.
Okay, another ghost I like though. Actually, this was also a really scary moment. I feel like Sonic games were always a little scarier than Mario games for me. I was afraid of ghost houses and water levels as a kid, but even with Mario, they weren't as scary because he couldn't drown. It was just he was less capable underwater. But in Sonic and Knuckles, I want to say there's this pyramid level.
Yep.
Where
Act 2 of whatever the desert level is. Yeah.
Yeah, where basically the lights are really dim and these unkillable ghosts are stalking you throughout it, and you have to like run from light switch to like keep the lights on. And as the lights get dimmer, the ghosts kind of like manifest in the corner of the screen. And if they go down all the way, they just like start coming over to you and attacking you. So that was always really.
I always forget about that level. It's one of those ones that I kind of like burned through and then it didn't register for me. So it's kind of neat that it actually worked.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I was a very anxious child, so maybe that was it.
Oh, I think it's a neat level, and it is remade in Sonic Mania, so it's clearly memorable to some people. And I slightly off topic, but I found that to be one of the weaker levels because it has one of those puzzles where the level scrolls infinitely vertically until you figure out which horizontal platform to go on, and it just
labyrinth stone stuff or whatever. Yeah, I hate that.
Not a fan of those. So yeah, I remember I was talking about Hungry Ghosts, which is a PS2 game where there are ghosts all over the place, and you got to talk to them, and you are sort of bargaining with them and trading things with them and releasing them from the afterlife or not, doing quests for them, but sometimes they're trying to trick you. It's kind of neat because it's a much more nuanced depiction of ghosts. They're stuck to particular objects, and they have particular other objects that they want in order to become released. But then sometimes they'll mess with you, or sometimes they'll help you, and you don't really know what's going to happen. And it sort of changes how they're gonna be. Sort of changes depending on like for each play. So. Yeah, I like those ghosts quite a bit, but it makes sense since they're in the title that they would be in good shape.
Well, you're making me think of the ghosts in Mother 3. They're pretty good, where there's a castle that is haunted by ghosts, and you get random encounters with fighty ghosts, but for the most part, it's just a ghost town, literally, not like a ghost town in the
they're pretty cute
American way. Yeah, and then they just want to kind of hang out and play piano and stuff. So they're good, and then. Use that I don't like is Bubble Ghost. I don't think Bubble Ghost is very good. I think it seems like it should be good, and I love the title Bubble Ghost, but a game about it's on the Game Boy.
The Game Boy game, yeah.
Yeah, it's a ghost that blows around a bubble, and you got to like get the bubble into the thing and avoid the spikes and stuff, and just doesn't feel that good to play. So that ghost should, you know what that ghost should do? That ghost should become alive again.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're out of time, and nobody gets the secret bonus points in my notes for mentioning Ghost Trick. So better luck next time. All right.
That's a good one.
Here's one. This episode comes out just 4 days before Halloween, and many of our listeners still haven't prepared. So I want to take these next few minutes to help them with some ideas for last-minute DIY video game costumes.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe you could, if you got like an empty box for a refrigerator, you could draw some lines on it and be the L block from Tetris.
All right.
Oh yeah, I've seen people do that.
Yeah.
You could pretty much go to a thrift store or a military surplus zone and get Harry from Silent Hill 2's costume straight up. Someone on Blue Sky.
Well, there's no Harry in Silent Hill 2. Come on.
Sorry, not Harry. What's his name?
He's James.
James, yes.
Yeah.
See, I'm proving that I haven't finished playing that game with my ignorance.
I just need to interject really quick here since we're talking about Harry Mason, which is that when I play Silent Hill 1,
you sing that song.
I sing the Ozzy Osbourne song Perry Mason, but who do we get on the case? We need Harry Mason.
Yeah, you got to.
Who else?
It's important.
That's pretty good. I once went as the Grand Theft Auto 3 guy from a thrift store. Just green pants, black jacket, baseball bat, done.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Claude is his
No
name.
one knew who I was.
I thought his name was Fido for some reason. I think there's a character who just calls him that in the game.
It's because of the fetch mechanics.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, you can just call any protagonist from that era of video games Fido when it kind of fits.
Okay, I think a better way of going about this is like name a character and then like try to do it as cheaply as possible.
Right.
Well, I was going to say, if you want to be real self-deprecating, you can go to the Spirit Halloween store, buy a Sonic outfit, and then be like, I'm Ugly Sonic from the movies.
Yeah. Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great reference for like 4 years
Yeah.
ago.
That's right.
I think it would be pretty easy to get a gorilla costume and put a red tie on it.
Sure.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Expensive though. I thought we were going low cost.
We said DIY, not necessarily.
So
Okay.
you just have a gorilla. So you take the
Sure.
gorilla suit that you have around.
Yeah, if you happen to have a gorilla suit,
your
it's very
closet?
Add a
easy
tie.
to turn it into
Yeah.
a Donkey Kong suit.
It's true. It's a good point.
I feel like you don't own both. Like, there's no one who isn't a Donkey Kong cosplayer who owns both a tie and a gorilla suit. Like, if you're the kind of person who owns a gorilla suit, I'm just gonna say it. I hate to stereotype. You probably don't own a tie.
There's just not a lot of overlap.
No.
Unlike the World of Warcraft Burning Man Venn diagram,
Yeah.
this one is very far.
These
Yeah.
are two circles.
I mean, if you're DIYing it, you might be able to get a brown hoodie and
Mhm.
put a red tie on it and just wear the hood part.
Hey, I got good news for you. If you ever signed up for a karate class, you got a Ryu costume in your closet.
Oh,
Yeah, Ryu's good, pretty good. You might have the wrong color belt, probably.
Yeah.
I learned when I was in Taekwondo as a kid, and we had to go buy our own belts, and I learned you could just buy a black belt.
You can just
Yeah.
buy a black belt. They will
Yeah.
sell it to you. They don't ask for proof.
The clerk doesn't challenge
They
you
don't.
to
They didn't take me
combat.
out back and tell me to. Yeah.
Okay, do 10th kata. Like, I don't know. What are like the games of this year that people would get? I saw an article today on The Atlantic, which is where I go for, cutting edge,
Sure.
really on the, on the pulse kind of
Yeah.
reporting. And
Yeah, Ian Bogos is on it, man.
I mean, he's maybe one of the most on it people on there.
And he's a ghost.
but
Brandon.
article that was like, memes have taken over Halloween. Everyone just wants to be a meme nowadays. No one wants to do a real costume like Donkey Kong. I hate it. But what are some of like the
Yeah. No, you immediately made me realize,
Mhm.
take off your toilet seat,
Yeah.
Mhm.
put around your head, and your skibbity toilet.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh yes, yeah, that's exactly it. That's what
Yeah.
I'm looking for. Yeah,
And like if you have a suit, it could be like a Gary's Mod G-Man thing.
yeah. You
Mhm.
could put a TV on top of your head too.
Sure.
You could be or you could cut your head off and replace it with a video camera. That's one of the types
Yeah.
of guys.
Yeah.
I think the toilet seat one's really. I bet that we're gonna see so many photos of like,
Skibbity toilets.
like
Children with
18-year-olds
toilet
being
seats around
skibbity
their-
toilets.
Yeah.
Oh my, yeah. I mean, that's a last minute. If you have a child, that's beautiful. That's perfect. You know.
Mm-hmm. If you own a hoodie, you could be any of those Watch Dogs characters.
It's
So
true.
that's good. Or the fella from that
What,
other game.
Infamous.
Yes.
How did I get that?
The one with the purple on it
What?
is what I was
Yeah.
about to say next. It's a little purple.
The one where you had to shake the PS4 controller like a spray paint can.
Think there are going to be a lot of Helldivers costumes?
I don't know. What does a
No.
Helldiver look like?
Yeah.
An army guy, I think.
Yeah.
That's too complicated. What else?
Yeah, I
what are the other games that came out this year? I don't play new games. What came out?
There was a Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, which you
Yeah.
could definitely
Yeah, that'd
go
be
to the
pretty
first
easy.
store and accomplish for yourself.
You could do some really offensive sort of race play kind of stuff for sure. That's a great,
Oh,
great
sure,
choice. Dressed as a Japanese person, great option.
Yeah. Astrobot. I feel like that would be tough to pull off.
Well, the person doing it doesn't necessarily have to be of a different race than.
That's true. You could be
Yeah.
a shitty space marine
Oh, that would be easy.
from
Yeah.
Warhammer. Would it though?
Would that be easier than Astrobot, which you just defined as difficult?
No, specifically being a shitty space marine would be easy.
Shit, yeah.
Again, I'm all about just put on a hoodie that's the right
Yeah.
color. Like Astrobot's just a hoodie.
Shave your head and say you're an Xbox 360 protagonist.
Mhm. It's pretty good.
That's a great one.
All right. We're out of
You
time.
just put on a pit like the cat ears and just be Tails. I'm just
Yeah.
Tails.
Or one of the cat boys from Final Fantasy 14.
Ooh.
Or one of the cats from that game I don't think any of us played, Stray.
Yeah.
mm.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's plenty of good ideas. What about UFO 50?
What about it? Oh, like how do you dress as you?
Yeah, how do you dress as 50 video
games?
games?
Well, don't spoil it because I've only played the first 22. But Waldorf is a character who's just a walrus. So brown hoodie and a couple chopsticks.
All right.
Telling you, just get every color hoodie that you can. Have a closet dedicated to that, and you're set for life.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's plenty of good ideas for our audience. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this song.
They did the mash. They did the monster mash. The monster mash.
Is there going to be a song?
Just like the break song.
Oh.
Is there normally a song here, and neither Brandon nor I know that?
There's normally a little jingle.
No, I mean it's like the music that was already there fades back in kind of thing. But I was thinking you were talking about like the Monster Mash.
I'm gonna play Monster Mash.
Oh man, yeah. As for put Monster Mash in there.
Graveyard Smash.
They played the monster mash.
Welcome back to Insert Credit. It's time to go to the dirt bag. This is the part of every show where I get a question submitted by one of the kind patrons to patreon.com/insert credit. Those guys, they all get the opportunity to send us questions through the form you can access there. They get access to monthly bonus episodes and other cool features that you'll have to sign up to find out for yourself. This week's question comes from 19letterslong, who asks, what are the grossest looking hands in video games?
Oh, there's a lot of those.
I feel like some of the early Yakuza, not early, but like Zero and stuff like that, everyone's skin is so fucked up looking. Like they're like, we can render pores, so we should do that to make it look more. And like their faces and hands are just like grotesque. I don't know like what they were thinking. What were they thinking?
Yakuza feels like someone took the video filters off of real life.
Yeah. Like it's like the HD cameras on the episode of 30 Rock where they walk in front of it and look like,
and it becomes a
like,
puppet.
This sucks, man. Also, just sort of like obvious answer is Elden Ring, the hand monster in the DLC.
Oh, yeah.
Or I guess it's a finger monster, not a hand monster, but there's a lot of fingers and hands. So
yeah, that's troublesome.
Oh, speaking of scary video game things, the wall masters in those early 3D
hand
Zeldas.
Monsters. Yeah, they suck.
Are they gross though?
I don't know if it's really gross, but I felt weirded out by the hands in Shenmue in the era because they were like, there was such an attempt to make them real, but they weren't. It was like an early experience with Uncanny Valley stuff for me, even though I didn't, you weren't looking at a face and usually it's the dead eyeballs. But looking at that hand, I was like, something's not right. Something's not right here. It's too close and too far away all at once.
Yeah, it's like it's an era where he should have still had mitten hands, but they use mitten hand tech for fingers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'll tell you what the worst hands in video games are. These trash pulls I keep getting from Marvel Snap. Am I right?
Yeah, I was going to say something about Balatro as well.
Yeah. I don't play Marvel Snap.
No? Only DC Snap for you, Jack?
Yeah. If they ever make a DC Snap, I'm in trouble. Speaking of which, oh my God. They showed off last week that there's going to be this new Vampire Survivors ripoff DC game, and I'm ready to crawl in a hole.
It's unsurprising. Unsurprising. Is it Suicide Squad? I see.
No, it's just a full-on DC thing.
Yeah, but like, who are you shooting as?
You're shooting as everybody against some vague threat. TBD.
Oh, so you can like be Batman and kill like 100 million guys?
Yeah, that's the idea.
Okay.
No, he
Batman
subdues
kills
them.
people all the time.
Yeah.
Batman Returns, he just fucking kills people. He attaches a bomb to a man and pushes him into a sewer and then smiles to himself. Like, he loves killing.
Yeah, well, some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
I mean, Jaffe can attest to like this isn't just like adapting Batman to other media. He's got a high body count in every
the comics.
continuity.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That feels like the no killing thing feels like something they tried to like push in the 80s or 90s or whatever as like a character trait.
Yeah.
Just sort of forgetting like or being like, forget about the other stuff. You didn't don't worry about
certainly when I engaged with Batman. So that would explain.
I will tell you from reading the comics that if he finds out something's like a vampire or a Solomon Grundy, he's just like, heck yeah, murder
Let's
time.
do it. Yeah.
I've been waiting.
Hey, I get to kill this.
Like a robot being like, what is a soul? Do I have? Don't care. Bang.
Nope.
Any opportunity. Another good gross hand. It's not really that gross because it's 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 arcadey, 16-bit-ish, but an attempt sort of at a gross hand. Is he the final boss? I think he's the final boss in Splatterhouse, where it's a melty dude with melty hands, and the melty hands come up and then all the flesh is dripping off of him. A pretty good early gross hand, I guess I would say. Good music during that section.
What about Ethan Winter's hand in those Resident Evil games? It just kind of sloughs off his arm.
Gross. I'm not aware of that. I guess I didn't. Which one was he?
He's the main guy, the dude who Lady Dimitrescu keeps trying to kill.
No, I mean, when I said which one was he, I mean Resident Evil
7 and 8.
Yeah,
7, 8, 9.
Yeah, I stopped after 5, and I haven't played a Resident Evil.
Well, 5 was sort of the high watermark for this.
Yeah,
that's right.
I mean,
you
6
never got
really
to,
actually.
Yeah, you never got
6.
to the giraffe.
You never got to the real peak of 6. You know,
I did play 6 for about like a half an hour before I got.
Oh, you didn't get to the giraffe. Okay.
I got to a chair that I couldn't. Yeah. Where like there was a full impasse, like I can't go any further because there was just like a chair in front of me, and it's like you need to go over there, but they hadn't designed this level such that it was visually interesting or like there was a reason you couldn't go over there. There was just a chair in the way, and I was like, I don't need it.
That was me with 7, and I know people say 7 is a great game, but when I play a game that's like has that much, the environments are that detailed, and they're just like, no, you can't touch this thing. Like, no, you can't do this. I'm like, fuck you. Like, you shouldn't have put that there then. Like, it's like, I have solved this problem.
Don't make it look so pretty then.
Like, if I try to solve a problem in a way where the game is like, no, it's not that, then it's like, go to hell. Like,
so, I think we're all avoiding maybe the obvious answer to the question, but I'll just say it. There's this disembodied hand that, he's trying to help you, but it's still creepy in the Addams Family for the NES. It's called Thing.
I knew it. I knew this was coming.
God damn it, Frank. Okay, next question. Without looking anything up, what do you think the Tails doll creepypasta is about?
I used to know this because I was really big into creepypasta like 10 years ago. The Tails doll, it's like a character in Sonic Adventure. No, it's in the racing game, Sonic R.
Yeah, it's in Sonic R. Brandon's favorite British video game.
Yeah, it's wait, what studio made Sonic R?
Now called TT Games, Traveler's Tales previously.
Tales.
Yeah.
When they had that great logo still.
That's right. They had the fox-ish character and the
it's like a raccoon fox thing, yeah.
Storybook-ish logo.
The Tails doll is a character in Sonic R that's kind of like Metal Sonic. It's like created, I think, by Dr. Eggman.
Yeah.
And it's like an unlockable character, but it has kind of it looks very unsettling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the head's kind of flop into the side.
And it looks more like Metal Sonic looks like a robot. Tails doll looks like a scary doll version of Tails.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's just like every Sonic thing where someone plays a game they haven't played in 10 years and then the Tails doll comes out and kills them, right? Like,
yeah.
It's like the Sonic that what's the classic Sonic creepypasta where
I don't know.
Sonic's eyes are all bloody and stuff, like that's the original one.
Oh yeah. And there's a ROM hack about that.
Yes, yeah.
And I don't remember what it's called. I don't know, because it's like a fan created thing. I assume that the doll just has sex with every other Sonic character. Like that's probably what it is, right?
Yeah. Is the doll like Christian or is it Satan? Because I know there's a lot of Christianity in Sonic.
Yeah, how did that
like Christian Whitehead? Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly, it's right there.
For those who don't know, that guy did a lot of Sonic things, including being in charge of Sonic Mania. Did all did the Sonic CD port for Android and other things. Pretty good.
Yeah, you didn't go for 1 or 2. You went for Sonic CD.
I went for Sonic CD. That's the one that I bought. Anyway, yeah. My vote is. The creepy doll has sex with all the other Sonic characters.
Yeah.
So I think what Merritt was saying is probably about right, which is that it's probably something that just suddenly appears in places, right? And maybe innocuously even, it's just creepy enough that it just like if he's suddenly there.
It comes into the real world, right?
Maybe. I actually like the idea more of it appearing in a video game. So I can see him appearing in like a first person sort of exploration horror situation where you turn a corner and
games that aren't even Sonic games.
Yeah, that's what I think.
FNAF.
Yeah. Oh, he is very FNAF-y, isn't he?
He's FNAF. He's FNAF-erific.
Proto FNAF.
Yeah, Tails doll I think predates FNAF.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
100% by about 15 years.
Right,
no, I
we're
mean
talking
like
about
the
Sonic
myth
R.
The
of
meme.
Tails doll.
The meme is like a few years
Yeah, that I don't know.
earlier, I think,
That I
or
don't know.
around the same time. Yeah.
There's got to be mods of that kind.
So are you going to tell us if we're right?
No, of course not.
What?
No, the answer is really boring. I wanted to see if you could come up with something more interesting.
Oh, well, but I want to know the real answer because.
Oh, the real answer is that just like a bunch of people thought this thing was creepy, so they put him in a lot of memes.
Mhm.
Yeah. I was kind of hoping you would like come up with a story.
A story? You didn't say story.
I apparently was confused by this whole question because I thought that there was like a story that had some lore to it. That
Yeah, you would think, right? But no, it just comes from a bunch of memes.
All right. Yeah, everybody thinks it's creepy.
Yeah.
You're playing. God, I wish I could remember the name of it. I've ruined it. There's a game on the Sega CD which has Sonic hanging from the rearview mirror, and it's called like Gale Racer or something like that, and I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, that doll, like on certain nights of the year, turns into the Creepy Tails doll.
Rad Mobile or
Radmobile. No.
Yeah.
I thought it was an arcade game.
Yeah.
Maybe it's on Sega CD. Maybe it's both.
Anyway, there's something in there where that changes and it doesn't tell you, and that's a harbinger of your death in real life. The end.
Pretty good.
It's not that good.
Good enough.
I'll admit it.
Here's my last question. This was originally a different thing, but inspired by our conversation at the top of the episode, I got to ask, what is the Texas Chain Saw Massacre of video games?
Ooh, that's a toughin'. Okay, so there's a lot of ways from which we could approach this. One is a virtuosic creation from a creative who never was able to repeat anything that good ever again. Okay. Of that type, at least. Mm-hmm. Tobe Hooper did a whole bunch of other movies, and I keep being like, this time, this is gonna be the good one. I'm like this one. The only other of his that I've ever truly liked is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which is the kind of movie that I feel like only a big time sicko weirdo like me could like, because it's like the right kind of trash for a trash hound to enjoy. But it's not like a good movie or scary or interesting.
Are you saying you don't like Life Force?
Oh, Life Force. It does have that lady's boobs in it. That's the whole thing about that movie.
Hey, that's not all it has, okay? It has Patrick Stewart.
Name two more things.
It has Patrick Stewart.
That's true. I forgot about
melts,
that. Right?
He melts, and it's really disgusting, and it is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It has a guy who stabs a vampire with a sword, I want to say, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, that was Batman.
A fair number of movies have that.
It was bad. It has Michael Gothard, who is a really great actor. Total Psycho.
It does have some okay lighting sometimes. The music isn't bad.
Mary Mancini soundtrack, yeah.
But it is like a super showcase of this lady who's very cold, walking around naked. That's like the point of the movie. It's pretty embarrassing to watch, I have to say, for me.
So Brandon, do his subsequent movies like attempt to do some of the same things and it just doesn't land as well?
Well, he's made a lot more horror movies, but it's very clear that he's actually just kind of like a goofball.
Got it. Okay.
But horror movies are where he can get work, and he keeps being like, but what if it was for kids? What if the bad guy was actually your friend or whatever? I don't know. It's like he's always trying to subvert it in ways that are like, but you don't have it. You don't,
I have not experienced his other work, but let me throw out a game suggestion here.
Okay.
Deadly Premonition.
Ooh. Yeah.
Like there's shades of great in the next ones. I don't know if that's true of this movie director or not. Like,
I mean, he's a competent filmmaker, so,
right?
Yeah.
The games are still interesting, but I think it's he knocked it out of the park that time, and I feel like the subsequent games have just not managed to outdo it. So I don't know if that's the same at all, but that's what came to mind hearing your explanation.
Yeah, I could see that. Another way to look at it is the way we were talking about it earlier, where there's like nobody to root for, everyone's bad, but it's still very compelling, and you wanna go through it. And I don't know what that game is. It sounds like a potentially more interesting.
Sounds like a Kavia game, kind of.
I mean, no one is good, and you kind of want to root for people, but everyone kind of sucks.
Oh, Kane and Lynch 2.
That's one.
Yeah.
There are, I mean, kind of Disco Elysium. everyone in that game is kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah.
The game The Cave by Double Fine is a game about
Mm.
like which of these 7 awful people do you
Right.
want to be and explore their backstories on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it as compelling?
As Texas Chain Saw Massacre? No.
Yeah, I guess people like it.
No, it's a flawed game that could have been great. But didn't quite.
Hey, Merritt, have you worked on any video games that have compelling narratives about
boy.
awful people?
I was like thinking, I was like, should I like slide in there? But I mean, if you want to talk about it, we can.
Let's do it.
Okay, yeah. So I am getting ready to release a game called Fledgling Manor. And it is, I still have this like weird thing about calling it a game. It's whatever. We're past those debates. You interact with it. It's fine. It's a visual novel.
Visual novels are a game.
It's a visual novel. You read a lot of text and make decisions at key points. And yeah, it's a horror game, kind of. And it's about horrible people for the most part. The premise is basically Big Brother meets What We Do in the Shadows. So it's a reality show for vampires. Like, so it is watched by vampires and stars of vampires. And the idea is that when someone is like voted out of this house that these 8 contestants have to live in, they aren't just forced to leave the show, but they're executed.
Oh, wow.
On TV, because the idea is like, oh, vampires are so jaded and like, fucked up from having lived so long that their entertainment is just like human entertainment, but like cranked up a notch. They like need, to see people die.
What's their motivation? What's the motivation of the participants? Why do they want to do it?
They don't have a choice. So basically, the show within the universe of the game fulfills 2 purposes. The first is the entertainment thing, and the second is as part
punishment?
of less a punishment and more. The idea is that like the older vampires are very careful to not have their existence revealed to the public, and so they routinely will just like purge younger vampires. And so this is a way where like they get to do both of those things at the same time, because most of them will die. And they also get to enjoy like, watching that happen. But before that, in the lore of the game, it's like they would just, send out hit squads or do whatever, that kind of stuff, cut their heads off in the streets. So yeah, he plays a guy named Rocky who has not been a vampire really for much longer than he's been on the show. He wakes up and he's like, oh, fuck, I'm a vampire. And now I'm on this reality TV show. How am I going to survive this? And so you sort of have to like make deals with different people and form alliances. His background is that he's a big reality show fan. So he sort of like knows the format, like the genre, but doesn't know anything about being a vampire. So you sort of have to figure that stuff out as you go.
I'm stuck on how is this show distributed amongst vampires?
There's a
like,
vampire
leaking?
Streaming service.
Yeah.
That they only have access to. And, we don't talk too much about like the broader world in the game because we are trying not to have it just be like a lore fest.
Yeah.
But, I think they have, a Plex server or whatever. And it's the kind of thing where like, my sort of blanket out for writing modern supernatural stuff is like, well, would anyone believe it if they found it? Like, if some person stumbled onto this, they would be like, oh, this is obviously fake.
Yeah.
Like, you can literally fake anything at this point, even without AI on camera. And with AI, it's becoming like trivial to do that. So
True.
Okay, so I have a thought
Yeah.
for that. Humans can't see vampires in mirrors, but what if vampires can see vampires in mirrors? And this streaming channel only shows up if a vampire watches it through a mirror.
Oh, so if a human picks up, it's just like B-roll footage of this mansion and nobody's in it.
With like voiceovers, just nothing. That's really funny.
All of the video has to be filmed horizontally
in reverse.
mirrored. Yeah.
Oh my God.
They have to flip it. That's really funny. But
Brandon, you should write video games.
There you go. Free idea.
Have you thought about doing that? Like,
I'm considering it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a fairly small scope game.
Sounds cool to me.
It's taken us about 4 or 5 months. I've been working on it with 2 of my friends. We started a quote unquote studio called In Secret Places.
That's a really nice time, like 4 or 5 months to wrap up a project.
Yeah, I know. It's nice. It's like I'm at that point now where I'm just like, I just need this to be done. I need this to be out of here.
At 5 months, wow.
I know. But like, it's a pretty, like I said, it's fairly small scope. It's like 120,000 words. There's like a higher than usual number of CGs, I think, for this kind of game, which is something that sickos who like visual novels care about.
Yeah.
Because we're not doing like full color, we're doing black and white in this kind of style that Like one thing, I don't know, I don't play a ton of visual novels, but I don't really like when people try to do like an anime style, but they can't really nail it.
Yeah.
It looks really like 2000s, like how to draw manga to me.
Although that's kind of coming back around a little bit to being
Yeah.
like
An art style.
Have you looked at Friday Night Funkin'?
Yeah.
It's like Newgrounds,
Yeah.
like stereotypical Newgrounds style, plus a little bit of DeviantArt, plus a little bit of how to draw manga, and it works so well in that
it kind of does in that one.
vibe. So yeah, I feel like it's gonna start to circle back around. I don't know.
It might, but we're not
That
doing
gum
it.
you like.
We're doing like a more kind of, someone described it as sort of Vertigo, 90s Vertigo-esque. And I can kind of see that. We have a great artist named Shade who has been doing all of the visual design. So it's
During the break, we were talking about the Vertigo comic Shade the Changing Man. So
Yeah.
that was just, a lot of things just came together right there.
Look for that on the next bonus episode.
I loved when he met Chakan the Forever Man. That was a great crossover.
Yeah.
Is that
'Cause
real?
He's like forever.
No,
he's
it could not
changing.
possibly be.
No,
Because
there's
I would totally believe it.
Yeah, no, that would be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's hopefully coming out in November. It's been a lot of fun, like, because I don't know how many people listening to this know this, but like 10 years ago, I used to do I dabbled in like very small like art games. But I never did like a retail project with multiple people. So this is really the first thing like that I've done. And it's on Steam and you can wishlist it, which my understanding is that Gabe has if a game gets enough wishlists, he gets a notification on his phone and he presses the button that does Steam promotion basically.
Yeah, he presses the button that's make games sell good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been trying to make that happen for Demon School for a little bit.
Yeah. It's so yeah, if you wishlist it, even if you don't know if you're gonna buy it, it's a big help.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's fun. It's like horror. There are romance possibilities. I wrote, Brandon, I'm sure you have experience with this at this point, but like when you go through Steam, you have to like do all the content stuff in your game. And they're like, is there like sexual content? Is there this? And I'm like, okay, I really, like Baldur's Gate 3 can get away with having sexual content as a tag because they're fucking Baldur's Gate. They're going to sell anyway. But like, we're like a totally unknown indie. So I'm like, we've tried to like get it kind of to the point where it's like, there is what I called like intimate romantic scenes. We don't show it going in and like, we don't say it goes in or anything, but like, there's like,
trying to avoid getting shoveled into the porn bucket.
Exactly.
Right.
And a lot of VNs and porno RPGs will do this thing on Steam. It's a big thing for Japanese publishers, like indie publishers, where they're like, put a game that looks like dog shit, like an RPG Maker thing. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? And then you've like, go to the comments and people are like, oh, here's where you get the patch for this.
Oh.
And the patch adds in all of like the porno stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, because they
that's
just
hilarious.
because they don't want to put it on Steam and have it be hidden. Because people are filtering out like, don't show me games with titty monsters.
But meanwhile,
Titties not included.
Porn games actually doing a lot of them are do incredibly well with their explicit tags, but then they have to be like about pornography.
Yes, exactly right. So we're in that awkward position of like, no, this is a story, a real story that we wrote with words and ideas.
Oh, damn, that's a real slam against the adult industry.
Blasted.
Wow.
Look, there's nothing wrong with making stuff for people to jack off to, but like that isn't what this is. And so we're like, but Germany wants to know if we have sexual content or, the funniest thing was they were like,
Germans always want to know if you have sexual content.
Germans and Brazilians. Germany and Brazil are the only two countries that have like the rating systems, I think, right?
It's the only ethnic stereotype we will allow in this show.
But they were like, you take off all the things that are in your game and then you send it to them and they play through and are like, oh yeah, this is fine. We sent them the demo and they're like, oh, there's like endorsement of criminal activity in this game. And we're like, what criminal activity? Like, what are they? And then we were like, oh, do they mean the fact that people bite people and drink their blood? I guess that is a crime to do. But they're vampires. In their society, that is not a crime. It's perfectly normal, but we're judging.
You gotta let Italy know if there's pasta in your game. It's a whole thing.
Yep. Yeah.
Well,
it goes through the authenticity council.
Yeah. Since we have one of the premier experts on dating video game vampires on our show today, I think we're going to go into our frightening round this week, where Here's the deal. I am going to give you a video game vampire, and you're going to have to tell me where you'd take them on a first date.
Wow.
Are you ready?
We'll see.
You'll see.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out.
Your first date is with Alucard, son of Dracula.
I feel like Alucard is like extra emo and has daddy issues and stuff. I don't know how that translates to a date. It depends. What do we want to get out of these dates, by the way? We want the vampire to like us.
Yes.
Not drink our blood.
Yeah, you want your vampire boyfriend or girlfriend to spread the word to the other vampires like, hey, leave this guy alone, he's cool.
Do we want to like go on a second date with them? Do we want to take them home right now?
We at least want them to want a second date.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alucard.
I'm not giving it up on a first date to Alucard. I want to establish that.
I think I know what to do for Alucard is take him to a really fancy restaurant because he's used to eating chicken out of walls.
Yeah.
He hasn't had a really good dining experience. He lives in a castle where you just you break walls and then you eat.
Someone brings him a plate and he goes, "What?"
Yeah. If you let Alucard pick, he's going to be like, "Oh, I know a really good hole in the wall," and he'll take you to an actual
That's
wall.
right. That's right. So I think a fine dining experience for Alucard is going to be nice. He doesn't have to drink the wine that his father threw on the floor.
Do not serve him wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Not that he does that, but his frame of reference for it might be that you're supposed to throw this.
Throw it on the floor.
Right.
Your next is Cain from Legacy of Cain.
Oh, damn.
That guy's emo too, right?
They're all emo.
Oh, they're vampires. They're
I
all
don't know
emo.
much about that guy.
They're all emo. But Cain is... See, I only ever played the Soul Reaver games.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know Cain is like...
He wants to rule Nosgoth, right? That's his whole thing.
It's a Dennis Dyack joint. Okay, I'm going to say take Cain to a metal show.
Yeah.
He'll have a good time. Everyone will love his white hair, his headbangs.
Yeah.
He'll get a little praise, and he won't want to kill you.
He could take a few people from the mosh pit and no one will even notice.
No one, yeah.
Yeah. Rain from Blood Rain.
Is that her name?
Yeah, her name's Rain.
That's.
I kind of just thought her name was Blood Rain. Wait.
No, that's her mother's name.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Please, just call me Rain.
Yeah.
Ms. Blood. Blood was my mother.
Yeah.
That's a really wow. I literally don't know anything about Blood Rain.
She wears leather, right?
She wears leather.
I know what she looks like, and she fights
Yeah.
Nazis, and they made a 2D version of that game for some reason, like 5 years ago.
And she got adapted by Uwe Boll.
Uwe Boll.
Holy
Man.
shit! Right.
I think she did a Playboy spread at one point.
Yeah.
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like she's so used to being objectified that if you might like take her to a book reading or something, she might be like, "This is a new experience."
Nice, really slow-paced poetry. Poetry reading in New York. Yeah, Brooklyn.
Yeah,
poetry
she
reading.
might also just get bored though. So I'm not
Well,
sure.
that's the thing. She might be so like indoctrinated to being treated that way that's just what she expects, and she might be confused by respecting her.
Yeah.
So you got to not respect her.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm still going for the book club idea, and then if
Yeah.
she seems like she's bored, then you can take her to the club afterward.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
club where you just left Cain.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
No. This is the club where Blade is and the blood.
Oh, the Blood Rain.
the Blood Sprinkler Club. Yeah.
And it plays that techno song that is.
Oh, that's where the blood rains.
that's where the blood
Oh,
rains.
yeah.
She would just be like, really? Really?
Little on the nose, buddy.
Also, the Blood Rave, great scene, iconic scene, perfect scene. But what is the analogy there? It's like wine? Like wine sprinklers? Like champagne sprinklers or something? Like what?
Soylent Green.
So, yeah. Like it doesn't, like that's food.
Yeah.
That's really bizarre.
Yeah. Some people are gross though.
That's true. Some people are gross.
If you take one thing away from this show. Next is Vamp from Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, well, the key thing about Vamp, I mean, that's not why he's called Vamp, right?
Right.
So as long as we have that out of the way.
Yeah.
What is he like anyway? I feel like all I remember is that he almost drown, or he tries to drown you.
Yeah, there's like you fight him in front of magic water.
Yeah, don't take him
That's
to
the magic water, you die.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
God, I feel like you could really, like a couple could take him out. I feel like he would be a great like third in a relationship.
Okay.
Really, if your relationship is kind of getting a little stagnant, you're 7-8 years in, you're okay, like are we doing this for the long haul?
So you do that like meme with like the we saw you across the bar. And, yeah.
With Vamp, I feel like he would be into that. And if not, he's at least used to it because people are probably trying that all the time on that.
Wait,
guy.
is he? Oh, he's fictional, so he's the unicorn in the poly situation. Got it.
Yeah, exactly. And as for like a board game night, just let's get really stereotypical here.
Yeah, really into Ticket to Ride.
Yeah, turn on the taxis.
Next, Dmitry Maximov from Darkstalkers.
Oh,
He's the one that just looks like a Dracula, right?
He's
Okay.
Dracula.
Yeah.
Here's where you take him. You take him to jail because every time he kisses someone, he turns them into a child.
Or just a woman sometimes.
Sometimes a woman. Sometimes he transes your gender, but most of the time he turns you into a tiny child.
I think sometimes doesn't he also turn people into like animals? Like he's just a real freak.
Yeah, he turns you into a lot of
lock
stuff.
him up with Yuji Naka.
Yeah, he's one of those fighting game like guys where you go to YouTube and it's just like any fighting game character where there's a compilation of their super move going off, like something is wrong there. Like we don't need to know if you've programmed effects for different characters for this character's super move, like
You're shipping them with
something
yourself.
unwholesome is going on. Like I don't trust it.
Well, I don't think he didn't. Well, if the goal is to continue dating him, then I don't
you
think,
can have a conjugal visit every once in a while from jail.
Sure.
Yeah, but he has to want it.
No, but he's trapped. He's the last person you're the last person he saw. He's in jail. now.
Oh, and like he didn't get a phone call because he's just
right.
too gross. And,
Right.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Next is Lady Dimitrescu.
Well, I think Brandon has pointed
Basketball
out.
game.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. But I think Brandon's pointed out that
Come
like
on
you go
and
to any
slam.
punk club and you see one of them.
Yeah.
You know?
It's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
People were so like that character. I didn't play that game, but people got really crazy.
Oh, they did.
Like if you go on Archive of Our Own, and search for vampire stuff, that character has just like taken over that entire.
Oh no,
like,
we did a fan fiction game a while ago, and we found out one of the most popular ships on Archive of Our Own is Lady Dimitrescu / Reader.
Oh yeah, it's
Right.
huge. It's crazy, and I'm like, wow, I don't care. I do not care. It's that and like the Stranger Things from the guy who gets killed, whatever, by bats. They're like, what if he came back as a? It's like I don't know. I don't care. Big and tall shoe store. Next question.
Yeah. Okay. That blonde Harley Quinn looking one from Vampire the Masquerade.
Oh, the one who
You know the one I'm talking
predates
about.
that
Yeah,
Harley
yeah.
Quinn look.
Yeah. You know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, whose look was sort of like
Yeah.
used for Harley Quinn. Weirdly, what's her name? Not Janice. Janelle.
Her name's Barely Quinn.
Hardly Quinn.
Hardly Quinn.
I need to play that game.
Gosh, I don't know anything about her.
Yeah.
I gotta play that.
I mean, I
game.
got to go with my default, which is just coffee and can bounce if I need to. you know?
Yeah.
Like that's just my default, and she seems like a default.
Good idea. Yeah, especially since none of us really knows anything about her. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it makes sense to have something where it's like, yeah, well, look at the time.
Yep.
Jeanette. I think her name is Jeanette.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been I
yeah, I don't
I
take
played like
Jeanette
2 hours
seriously.
of that game. I don't
Okay.
know.
My plan is first we kill the Batman.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's Mr. J. Yeah, that's good. Kill the Batman. Classic first date.
Yeah. It's what you do first. And our last one is Vincent Valentine.
Is he a vampire?
Yeah, he's a vampire.
Also, who is that?
Yeah.
He's the emo guy from Final Fantasy VII.
Wait, is he the one with long hair and the
Oh,
gun?
he wears red.
He's the unlockable one who sleeps in a coffin. Dirge of Cerberus is about
Is he
him.
Crisis Core? Is
Right.
that him? Not.
no,
wait.
he's Dirge of Cerberus. Yeah.
Oh, turns out I don't know that much about Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, I only played.
Oh wait, I
Remake.
think I can picture him. He has like the long hair and like a
He has
like
guns.
standing. Like yeah. Okay.
Well, I can't remember the name of the store, unfortunately, but there is a store in Shibuya that we all used to make fun of as the place where Nomura shops. And
Wait, hey, I'm going to Japan in December. Can you? Can you
Yeah,
maybe it's
why
worth
don't
it
you
still
DM us
exists?
that?
yeah, I will let you know. I shopped there as well. I found some fun things. But yeah, you want your 2002 era belts and leathers. That was the spot. So I would take him there on like a clothes shopping date.
That's our lightning round. Okay, I am tallying up the points here, and Merritt, because you designed a video game, you win the episode. Congratulations.
Wow,
Nice.
I feel like Brandon got way more of those than me, but
I'm sorry. I don't make the rules. I just follow them.
I feel like you did make the rules.
You know what? I did. The truth is, I just want to make you write a question for a future episode because that's what you get for winning.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right, writer.
Right.
Here's the part of the show where if you have any recommendations or plugs or just things you think our audience should be aware of in general, now's the time to say it. We've already spoken about Fledgling Manor. If you want to give one more appeal to that or talk about some other stuff that's going on, now's the time.
Yeah, Fledgling Manor is available to wishlist on Steam. It's also going to be on itch if you don't want to be in the Steam ecosystem. I don't know if it's going to be on consoles. RenPy doesn't export to a format that works with that. So unless we got like Ratalaika or one of these other outfits to port it to Unity, that's not going to happen. But go ahead and wishlist that. And also, this is sort of out of nowhere, but there's I backed something on Kickstarter last night called Retro Game Zine, and it's like a $400 Kickstarter for a zine about It Came from the Desert by this guy named Darren Hupke. And if they hit their stretch goal, they're going to do an issue on Chakan the Forever Man. And that is the main reason why I did it, because I find that game deeply fascinating, even though it's not very good. It's just a very strange Sega Genesis game. So go back that.
So It Came from the Desert, the TurboGrafx CD game?
Well, there was a conversion to TurboGrafx, yes.
Yeah.
But that's an Amiga game.
It was an Amiga game
Right.
originally?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
It's actually a really interesting design. I respect that game.
It looks like it has hit its goal, but it hasn't hit the stretch goal yet. So it's called Retro Game Zine. It Came from the Desert. So yeah, go check that out too. I want that Chakan zine.
Well, first of all, Chakan was a comic, and I don't want to create homework here, but has anyone ever in the world actually read that comic book? And if not, maybe we should. That might be a funny thing to do.
Might be
But I think we're probably going this way anyway, but I'll just start it. I recommend you go vote.
Yeah, I was going to talk
about
about
States. A lot of times when I hear, like people on their platform saying go vote, they kind of like soften it with a this isn't about like which side. No, just vote not Republican is my recommendation.
Yeah, I'll go further and say vote for Harris regardless of whether you like her, and regardless of the many things where she has problems and the things that she may be supporting that you don't agree with. We got to continue to have a democracy over here, and the only way, especially all those of you, no pressure, in the states that are not California and New York, where it's really obvious where they're going to go. If you live in any of those states, your votes matter like about 500 times more than mine, because like Harris is going to win the popular vote handily, but whether she wins the presidency is a very big question mark. So yeah, I'm going to also say go vote. And let's get those fascists back in the ground where they belong, as much as possible. She's not perfect, but she's what we got, and she's better than a lot of other stuff. So
it's just like last time, man. It's like, no, we're not like thrilled. We're just voting for this person.
I think it might even be a little better than last time.
I think it's better than last time. Yeah.
So vote. I also have other recommendations. Oh, I was going to say, I think that we didn't have Morgan from Darkstalkers in our vampire lineup, but I think
she's
that
not a vampire.
Morgan?
Yeah, she's not a vampire.
Is a succubus not
it's
a
whole
vampire?
Different archetype.
Yeah, Brandon.
God.
All right.
Not even know the difference between a succubus and a vampire?
Why isn't John Talbot in our list?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she's got bat wings.
She's a type of vampire.
Yeah.
She's got bat wings. She's got bat tights.
He aspires to vampirism.
I went as Morgan for Halloween one year. That's actually that Halloween costume things. I went as Morgan for Halloween one year, and what I did was go on AliExpress and buy like an extremely cheap costume, and it almost fell apart on the night of. So
that's dangerous.
That's
dangerous with Morgan, especially.
Yeah, with Morgan especially.
Very dangerous. Be very careful.
Anyway, I was just going to say that there's no way that you could have a date with Morgan where your blood does not get extracted from your body. I think that so it's probably good that she wasn't in there. But I guess maybe she's not a vampire. I'm going to recommend the movie Hiruko the Goblin, which is from the director of Tetsuo the Iron Man, but it's a very different kind of a movie than that. And it was his second feature. And he was saying that it was closer to his actual style, but since Tetsuo did so well, he had to make more movies like that. But this is like more of like a dreamier, adventure-y kind of movie with some horror elements. So it's like a much milder House. If you've seen the movie House and you liked that, you might like this. It's kind of like a pop star horror movie, something like that. Pretty fun. And also, I'm just gonna recommend. I remembered Desert Golfing existed, and that was a game that a whole lot of us played in the. When was it? Like 2010, something like that.
Oh my god! Yeah. Oh my god! Right, it's the side view.
Yeah, side view golfing game where you're just the number of strokes goes up forever, and you're just golfing like not exactly infinitely, but there's 27,000 holes.
That was like 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was released in 2014.
Everybody was really into it at that time, and everybody in the game dev sphere was like sharing interesting things about it. And I just remembered it, and it turns out you can still buy it on iOS and Android.
Wow, you can still buy a mobile game that was made 10 years ago?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And it plays perfectly.
That actually is crazy.
No, like, I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
And it's one of those games that you can just like, if you need a thing to occupy like 20% of your mind for a brief period of time, you can do a couple of holes in that, and it's kind of fun. It's also kind of frustrating, but it's fun. So there you go.
Good thing
That's
to
what
put
I
on
got.
while you're listening to a podcast.
Yeah, I recently was like, oh yeah, Super Hexagon was a thing, and I went and
Holy
found
shit,
it, and it's
yeah.
still there, and you can still just play Super Hexagon if you feel like.
That was such a thing. That was
Yeah.
like a huge
Playing those games so much later, it just like, it's weird. It's almost like sensory memory or something, where it just like rockets me back into a different time, and I had a flood of memories that I had forgotten about.
I'm a little bit afraid of trying to play Jetpack Joyride again. And
Oh,
what will
shit.
happen
Oh,
to my
no.
brain.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, that's still going. God darn.
First of all, I would like to one-up Brandon and Frank's recommendations to vote. If you'd like to get more involved than voting, I've been participating in this organization called the Environmental Voter Project. You could look them up. What they do is they target environmentally conscious people who have a low propensity for turning out at elections. And they call them in advance of elections to help them like make a plan to go out and vote. And like millions of people who don't otherwise vote have been mobilized. If you want to participate in that, check out environmentalvoterproject.org. It's only takes you like 80 minutes for a shift, and it makes a huge difference in just multiplying the effectiveness of your vote. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this or any episode of Insert Credit, please rate and review our show wherever and however you can. It really helps us out. You can also support us directly with your donations on patreon.com/insertcredit, or sponsor an episode with an advertisement or personal message by contacting us at show@insertcredit.com. Speaking of which, we're also taking auditions for new horrible buzzers. Send your original sound effects to show@insertcredit.com, and we may feature your sound on the show. Just make it annoying. You can also join our community at forums.insertcredit.com, or find us on youtube.com/insertcreditshow. Go check out Fledgling Manor, Demon School, and the Video Game History Foundation. This episode is edited by Esper Quinn, with music by Kurt Feldman. I'm Alex Jaffe.
I'm Frank Cifaldi.
I'm Brandon Sheffield.
Oh, I'm Merritt K.
And don't buy your Morrigan costume from AliExpress.
Game over, yeah!
That's true.
All right.
Words to live by.